Welcome to the Built to Heal podcast. I'm here with my parents, Dr. Ann and Dr. Bob and Dr. Jay, and I am Dr. Emilie Pinto. I am a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and it is pretty amazing how we've all come together to create this podcast. And really, we just have a really interesting origin story of how chiropractors and doctors came to work together. And we're a big family, and so we just wanted to really talk about it and really enhance what we're doing and having a real conversation about how we can get patients better in real time. So, welcome.
That's great. Welcome.
And welcome. And just to be clear, Dr. J is not one of your parents.
I know. I was like, oh, darn.
You guys just let me sneak in today. That was very nice of you.
I know.
He could adopt you or, whatever
Sure.
you like.
He's adopted
Or
into
you
the
guys
family.
can adopt me. I mean, that might be even better. I like that.
Better. We could use a son. He's got all these daughters, so.
I love it. I love it. Well, what we wanted to start off with is Dr. Ann, Dr. Bob, mom and dad. I really wanted all of our listeners to hear what was the origin story, talk about how Pinto Chiropractic originally came about, what that was like for you guys, how long you've been in practice, and how we've evolved into Pinto Innovative Health and Wellness now.
All right. Well, I guess I could start since I was the first. I was pre-med at Clemson and realized that I was going to be going a little bit against a grain because I was so much more about inside-out healing from pretty much day one, but knew that I wanted to go into healthcare. So I graduated in microbiology and decided that I looked at different schools and different options, and I decided to go to chiropractic school at Palmer College of Chiropractic in Davenport, Iowa, which was a big change. But so I went, and I had met Bob at Clemson when I was doing my undergrad, and we had decided to get married. And so after I finished first quarter, we got married, moved to Davenport. Well, I was already in Davenport. You moved to Davenport.
I did.
He worked in restaurant business for the first few years that we were married, and we had a child, couple of kids while we were still in school, I believe. While I was still in school, at least. And then you started a little bit, I guess, 2 years after I did. I graduated a couple years before you did. The restaurant business and the doctoring business were not really meshing very well with the hours and going against, treating everybody's leisure time in the restaurant and the opposite in the healthcare field. So it was a great thing. And from there, you could fill in a little.
Well, my story is same thing. I wanted to go into healthcare from a young age. I had a neighborhood man who was a pathologist, and he kind of took a bunch of us under his wings and used to take us into the labs with him and things like that. But then in college, when I first went to college, I worked as a lab tech in a teaching hospital. And very quickly saw that it maybe didn't mesh with my personal beliefs, but I wasn't sure how and what was the alternative until I met Ann, and she talked to me about chiropractic school. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is at that point. But I had broken my back as a young, I think 6 years old, fallen out of a tree onto a mailbox. And it took me to a chiropractor, fell in love with it. And I think the ultimatum was, I will marry you, but you've got to be a chiropractor too.
Not true, but
It has its perks, for sure, to have it in the family.
definitely has had its perks in the family, for sure.
So we started to practice in 1989. We decided to move to Williamsburg, Virginia, because it was halfway between Ann's home of Pittsburgh and my home of Charleston, South Carolina.
I would like to add I came to take boards in Richmond, Virginia when my middle child was 2 weeks old. I had a temperature of 103, thought I was just going to take the exam for fun because there was no way I was doing it, but I passed royally, and that was good. So that was the beginning of that with licensure in Virginia. So we then started out with having 2 children, and we moved in the middle because my family was Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His was Charleston, South Carolina. We didn't want to take either side off, so we came here to the middle, so we had no family support at all, which was awesome. Taught us that we could figure it all out on our own, though. So, yeah.
Raised the kids in like a chiropractic environment, and from the get-go, Dr. M wanted to be a chiropractor. And then came that fateful day when we told her she shouldn't be a chiropractor.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I grew up in this practice. I worked the front desk. I was in the rehab suite. And to see you guys work and to see the impact that you had on patients, whether, it was just with your hands or with rehab, it was so incredible to me, just the amount of impact you could have on someone's life and really teach them exactly what we're talking about with the podcast, is that your body is built to heal. And I saw that, and that was ingrained in me. And I always wanted to do more for those patients. And so I started off wanting to be an Air Force doctor, went to Clemson, and thought I was going to be an Air Force doctor of some sort. But then I had the epiphany that as a chiropractor's kid, who am I to be an MD, an allopathic doctor? I would be a wolf in sheep's clothing, because I knew that conventional medicine was so much about drugs and surgery. And I literally lived my entire life seeing what could be done without those things. And so I just had like this crazy epiphany. And also I was not very good at ROTC things. I could not fold. I could not march. I was not good at it. It was not for me. But then I just had this realization of like, oh my gosh, I need to get off this path. And as a chiro's kid, I need to apply to chiropractic school. I need to be a chiro. I applied, and then these guys literally sat me down and they were like, you are making a mistake. And I was like, oh. And I will never forget what they told me. They told me that, you're the type of person that wants to do everything for your patients. And we have been so frustrated in our field that we haven't been able to take that next step. We haven't been able to write for MRIs sometimes. We're not able to prescribe a medicine. We can't get the care for our patients that we need. And you're the type of person that is not going to be okay with that. And you should really look into a doctor of osteopathic medicine, because it is a blend of both worlds. And then when I found out that I could learn the good stuff of conventional medicine in a more holistic way, but then also learn techniques that are very similar to chiropractic and use my hands just like you guys do, I was like, dude, this is perfect. And I only applied DO. It was a perfect fit for me, because I feel like every parent wants their child to do what they do, but better. And I think you guys really empowered me to do that by encouraging the osteopathic medicine, because it really has allowed me to take it to that next step. But now I appreciate chiropractors and what they can do so much. And now we get to bring all of this together. We can bring the best of the conventional world. We bring that with the chiropractic and the alternative medicine and innovative technologies. And it's so cool to meet patients where they're at and give them all of these tools to help them get the outcome that they want.
Right. And it's all about that inside out, everything that we do. And it's been so cool. I will tell a little bit of the story of when she was going through residency. We kind of felt like we were losing her a little bit there, because she, the school was fantastic. It was very holistic. I went to orientation. It was like, oh my gosh, this could have been chiropractic school, literally, other than, finding out that the founders of the two professions were best friends and had an argument, and one went one way and one went the other way. Just super cool stuff. But then the residencies are all the same for DOs and MDs. And so when she got into residency at first, I started to find a real passion for regenerative medicine and kind of went to a conference. He didn't even go with me the first time. And I went to this conference and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so about who we are. And it just is allowing us to take it to that next level. And it's all about getting the body to do its job. It's built to heal. It's just boosting that ability. And when I first told her about it, she was kind of like, no, that's kind of voodoo, whatever. We're not allowed to talk about that. Because in conventional medicine at that time, especially, they were doing research, if you looked at Harvard and Yale and all of these places, yet in actual residency situations, it was a taboo topic. And so I will say that, we had a little bit of concern there, but when we talked with her a little bit more and started to get her to go to some of these, get some of the education and read about it, it was like, oh yeah, this really does does make a lot of sense. And I will say how cool it was at her graduation. So many of her peers, she was chief resident at VCU, which was phenomenal. Graduation, so she had found it within herself and to talk to these other people about it and what we were doing, but they all still had it fairly hush hush. And a number of her co-student co-grads came up to me and said, "What you guys are doing is so cool." And it was like, "Can I come practice with you?" You know. And so I think that I really feel like that is going to hopefully upend the way we look at medicine when you look at the regenerative processes and the tools that we have through regeneration at this point, be it PRP, stem cells, or a lot of the innovative therapies that just really work on enhancing the body's ability to heal. And just, we are having so much fun and getting these amazing results. And it's just so cool now for Dr. M to have been really ingrained in all sides of it and be able to come and look at it from a different picture of really seeing what actually works best for the patients. And that's just what really matters to us. So super cool.
I think it's amazing. You were blessed. You have two great parents who I've known for many years, and it sounds like they gave you really sage advice, which is why you guys have built this amazing practice that you all have built. And what's interesting about RegenMed is that there's a lot of good evidence around it, like a lot now.
It's more and more all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And that's what's so cool is that like when I was skeptical was when I was an intern, and as a resident, when physical medicine rehab was my specialty, you start off as an internal medicine intern. And that's when I was in the hospital during COVID, like things were crazy. But that's when I really got inundated with that kind of conventional medicine mentality. But then when I switched to physical medicine rehab, there's so much evidence for PRP and stem cells. And I started doing that actually in residency. And it was really cool because the VA was able to do those things for patients. And we were doing a lot of that innovative stuff there. And I got training there. And so to have that already as a foundation, we were already innovative at that time because we were already talking about it. And then to really see it become more accepted in all of these areas has been so incredible.
And I think starting off with a skepticism is always healthy.
Yes,
sure.
Absolutely.
It really makes you take a different look at it and look at it with more of a critical eye. It's not like, hey, yeah, this is just the best new thing since sliced bread and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It's really looking at it and, you know, looking at the research and looking at the results people are getting and that kind of stuff. So
absolutely. So now I want to take us through actually a patient case that we had. And so we're going to change her name for podcast and privacy reasons, obviously. But I want us to talk about Dave. Yes, Dave.
Dave's not here.
Dave. And I will tell you, Dave originally came to us as a referral from Sheltering Arms Institute, which is an amazing rehab hospital in our area, where I actually did my training. And he got referred to me as a physiatrist for spasticity care, and really just that integrative approach. And when he came in, we saw that he had a massive hemorrhagic stroke, which means that he had bleeding in his brain that really affected his ability to move. And his left side was really weak and spastic, which means that his muscles started to really tighten. And what we did was we really had an integrated approach. He came to me for Botox, for spasticity, and that was part of what we did. But I recognized, hey, you have a lot going on that a chiropractor could help with. You have a lot of just mobility issues in your spine. You're having issues with trigger points in the other areas along your spine. And I really think that we could help you in a more of an integrative, innovative way. And so I just wanted to throw like what your experience was with seeing Dave.
You know, it's interesting to me to how good of a communicator Dr. M is, because here's a guy who's had a stroke. He's been told he's going to be in a wheelchair the rest of his life. And she's saying, you need to go see a chiropractor. And, you know, but she convinced him, and he came to see me, and I'll tell you, it was a bear getting him just to lay flat on the table so I could evaluate him. But, you know, we found joint restrictions that we were able to free up. And as we went through care, he just got more and more mobile with the other things we were doing. The Botox was relaxing the muscles, made it easier for me to work on him, made it easier for him to get on the table. He just, it was remarkable to see. And the day I'll never forget is the day he walked in the office.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the other modalities that we use to treat him that would help others as well?
Yeah. So we did quite a extensive plan for Dave because there was a lot of things, and a lot of things come along with stroke care. And so one of the things was Botox. We used Botox to weaken the muscles that were really, really tight and spastic. But then we also used technology called Emsculpt Neo, which is high intensity focused electromagnetic energy to help strengthen the muscles on the other side. And so what happens with stroke is that you get very often the flexor groups really get tight and spastic, but that really pulls and gets the extensors, which do the opposite motion, completely weak. They are, just completely turned off because the flexors completely took over. And so what was so cool to me is like, okay, if we're trying to establish normal motion, which again, you learn that as a physiatrist and being a chiropractor's kid, you want to establish more normal motion. If we strengthen this side by using technology to create muscle contractions, we were literally able to rehab his muscles to turn on better on the group, on the opposite side that was tight, which a moral of the story helped him function better, which got him out of a wheelchair with really amazing physical therapy, just added to his care, which got him from a wheelchair to walking with a cane.
If I could interject, I think the moral of the story is doctors who really think about the patient at a global level.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of providers out there, unfortunately, that think, okay, I can do this job for this patient, but then this provider can do a different but still important job for the patient. Mm-hmm. And what I love about this story is that, of course, you get a great outcome for this patient. You change this patient's life forever, but it comes with this intrinsic knowledge, the science around how these technologies, how these interventions drive results. So you use Botox, or you use Emsculpt, or you use chiropractic, which now some of the literature is coming out demonstrating that when a patient receives a chiropractic adjustment, we improve what's called central segmental control. So we actually improve the function of the central nervous system, which also improves things like proprioception, like knowing where your body is in space. So it's this idea that you all are providing this holistic approach to patient care delivery, which is too rare. It just doesn't happen often enough. Right. And ultimately, it starts with committed doctors who are humble enough to realize, you know what, I can do great things, but I have others on my team that can do great things as well. And I think that's what a true great healthcare team looks like.
Right, absolutely. And also pulling in the innovative technology, because there's so much out there right now, and it's just amazing, all the things we can do. And that, again, Dave is a stroke patient, so that is an extreme for sure. We treat so many people also just with, a bad knee, or, I've been told I'm bone on bone. I don't want to have surgery. Mm-hmm. We'll look at it and we're like, okay, the bone on bone is maybe a pin prick. You've still got a lot of good tissue in there. Mm-hmm. And that's a situation where, unfortunately, right now, a lot of those patients are getting, you're not bad enough for surgery, so I'm going to send you to PT, and you'll get bad enough, and eventually you're going to need a knee replacement. But we don't want to do that until later, because you don't want your knee replacement to wear out and have to have a second one. We hear that all the time.
Yep.
And, there are techniques that we can use when you use the PRP, which is the platelet-rich plasma. We use stem cells if needed, depending on the grade of it. We've had another patient who came to us with simple knee pain, but was unable to walk. She struggled with 100 feet, right? And this was actually our first regen patient, the first patient that we did stem cells on. And 6 weeks later, she hiked to the top of Pompeii with no pain. She comes back in and, she's teary, telling us about how they had to park so far away at a concert, and prior to that time, she would have never been able to get to the concert. She walked to the concert, enjoyed the concert, and was able to walk back and had no pain. So those kinds of stories, they just warm your heart. I mean, and that just gives us purpose. And so it's just a range we can treat such a range of people. And that is so awesome. So it might just be a little bit of chiropractic. It might be just a little bit of med. It might be the whole gamut. With people, with strengthening some of the innovative technologies that we have we're strengthening core, we're strengthening pelvic floor. That along with chiropractic can completely alleviate back pain. Not that, again, all of these things are good alone, but when you put them together, the synergistic effects and the compounding just is really life-changing, not just in the moment, but for the future. And we're really looking at graceful aging, about maintaining mobility as we age, because as soon as you lose mobility, it's just a downward spiral in pretty much all areas of your health. And it drives us. So we just love what we do. Yeah.
Longevity is a huge topic of conversation among scientists as well as the general public. And it's not just about longevity, it's about the quality of the longevity.
Exactly.
And so the
Health span
and health quality, right? So it's like if patients have issues and they have gone down the conventional road and they're not getting resolution, they need to understand that there are evidence-based strategies, more natural, more holistic, that can really help them not only improve their symptoms, because that's only kind of the tip of the iceberg. It's about improving their function. It's about improving their anatomy. And those things can be done with the tools that you guys are using, which is so impressive, which is why I love being in this beautiful office, because I'm inspired by it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also educating them. And, you activate muscles, and we were talking about that last night. You activate muscles that they haven't used for a long time. And then it's like, oh, wow. Aging and immobility is there's a huge mental component. I mean, people, I run into them all the time. They're my age and they say, well, I can't do that. I'm too old. And I'm like, well, don't let that old lady in. That's not true. And we come back in here and I hear all the time, well, this patient said they can't do squats. And he's like, okay, well, let's really try. Let's have them hold on to something and let's have them actually try to do a supported squat. And they're like, actually, I can. But they haven't done those motions for so long because they're convinced because of their age that they can't do it. And it's, about teaching them, yes, you can. And we want to make sure that if you fall down, you're able to get up.
Yep. 100%.
No, and it's just, so it's just so multifaceted for what we're doing for people. Yeah. So it's fun.
One of the things I wanted to just point out that I do think, thanks to Dr. Jay Greenstein over here from Embodi, really what we can do for patients to make sure that their results stick and that they are compliant with stuff at home. Because the biggest thing is that we just seeing them in the clinic is just a piece of the picture. And what we try to do is try to teach people how to do exercises at home appropriately. How do you move appropriately in your activities of daily life? And what technology has done because of Embodi. I just would love to hear from Dr. J what your perspective is on how Embodi and this technology, as it's integrated into Pinto, what that looks like for the patient experience.
Yeah, so we know from a lot of the recent studies that patients are now expecting a digital healthcare experience. In fact, 93% of patients are expecting some sort of digital healthcare experience because they're always on their phones, like everybody's on their phones. And so how do we stay connected to patients to make sure that they are succeeding in their care journey? And that was kind of the motivating factor behind Embodi, which is a tool that practices like Pinto uses to monitor patients remotely when they're not in the clinic to make sure that they're progressing in their care journey. If something goes wrong or they have an exacerbation or they don't know how to do an exercise, there's an easy, seamless way for them to communicate back to the providers in a HIPAA-compliant way so they can continue to progress. And so our mission statement is helping people make better healthcare decisions. So it's grounded in behavioral science. It's grounded in behavioral economics to inspire people to do the right thing so they get the best outcome. And so for you guys, you were one of our first customers. And so that was super exciting for me. We've been friends for a long time. So I appreciate the trust that you had in what we were doing together. But it's really about staying connected to your patients, making sure that if they need anything, you're there for them. Because your patients get great outcomes, it doesn't happen often, but there are patients sometimes who maybe they're doing well and they pick up their grandkid and all of a sudden they're like, my back is hurting and it's Saturday and I don't know what I'm going to do. So what do I do? Or, it's 7:00 at night and I'm not going to be in until tomorrow morning. What do I do? And so that ability to stay connected, the ability to have their home exercises right on their phone, their ability to report how they're doing after their home exercise or after their clinic visit, so that you understand what's happening in their care journey. For us, we believe is game-changing technology. We want to make sure these patients get great outcomes, just like you do. And so that digital addition to their care plan can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
I feel like, too, it so increases the value because when a patient invests in services with us and they give us their trust, we want them to get the very best outcome. We want to give them more value than the cash that they are paying us.
Yeah.
100%. That is always our goal. And when we can do the remote patient monitoring, we can really make sure that it gives us a tool to really encourage them to do the things that they need to do to make those lifestyle changes. And without that, in the past, when we didn't have that and we just go visit to visit to visit, we really have no idea. Because sometimes patients say, yeah, I've been doing my exercise. And you're like, well, really, let's talk about how you've really been doing your exercise. And this really gives us and the patients, because obviously the patients come in, they make a commitment to the care because they have goals that they want to meet.
Absolutely.
And we want to do everything in our power to help them to meet those goals. And that's it's an amazing tool.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting because there's something called the Hawthorne effect, which is people change their behaviors when they know they're being watched. Right? So this is not about Big Brother, people. I swear, it's not about that. And it is a way for providers to get some insight to what's happening with the patient care journey when they're not in the clinic. And if we can support the patient more, not just when they're here, but when they're doing all their other activities when they're not in the clinic, that's really the goal. Because to your point, Dr. Ann, it is about helping them get the best outcome, and they're spending their hard-earned money and their time. And let's do whatever we can to support that journey.
Absolutely. Love it.
I will tell you, one of my favorite parts about Embodi is just the gamification of it, because we all are, like you said, we're on our phones. We're so used to getting like those immediate rewards, especially the dopamine hits when you're scrolling social media or even playing a video game or a game on your phone or tablet. And the way that you guys have gamified health is just it makes it more fun. It makes it way more just great and interesting for both the patient and provider.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, because I think we really want to make health fun.
Yeah.
And getting better should feel fun.
Absolutely.
And so many people are doing things like Wordle and Candy Crush and all of those things that I don't really know much about because I don't have time to do such things. However, I know all these people. I go on a trip with people and they're like, oh, I got to do my Wordle thing today, or I got to do my this thing today, And so to give them something that they can do and have that kind of fun with, but actually that's good for them instead of just sitting idly.
That can help their health.
I know when Jay first introduced me to the whole gamification component, I'm very skeptical, but very quickly I understood, as he explained it, the dopamine hit you get, and it in fact does make you want to engage more with something that's good for you.
Yeah.
There was a literature review that was published in Harvard Business Review that we really looked at years ago and said, this is a really important literature review around how gamification changes healthcare behaviors. And so we use that as one of our models to figure out, okay, so again, in the spirit of helping people make better healthcare decisions, how can we create this experience where patients feel rewarded, not just because they're feeling better, but also how do we give them immediate rewards, to your point, Dr. M? How do we give them that dopamine hit after they do their home exercise? Because let's face it, people, nobody's going to go home and be like, I'm so excited to do my home exercise today. Nobody on this planet is saying that. And if they know they're going to get both a short-term and a long-term reward for that, are they going to be more inspired to do it? And the data is clear. I mean, the data is very clear because we've got lots of back-end data on patients, and it's changing their behaviors. And that's what we want.
Yeah. And I was just thanking Dr. J for all of the time and energy that he puts into this research and the learning of the background and really understanding how it works. It's not something that they're just throwing out there. You have researched the heck out of all of it. He's throwing data at us all the time. And it's amazing that you're able to do that and that you're doing that to help people. So.
Well, it's amazing that you guys have adopted the technology, and it's just one more indication how committed you are to really driving not just the individual patient's health, but population health as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would have to say the part about Embodi I like. What I tell patients is, You know how very often you'll have a problem, you'll call the doctor, and maybe you'll get a call 3 days later, or whatever. And I said, you can instantly access us, and we're going to respond. And that, to me, that's the kind of person I am. I want instant gratification. And so I expect all my patients want it as well. And it's that to me, and you can see the patient's eyes light up when you say, I mean, you message us, you're going to hear back from us.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool component.
And by the way, everybody loves rewards. Like everybody's part of a rewards program. So why not build that for healthcare?
Yep.
And that's what we did.
That's awesome.
Love it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, to close, I just want everyone to kind of give their 2 cents of if someone is coming brand new into a practice, and especially our practice, like what is the question that you wish people asked more? What do you wish that they knew before coming into a practice to get healthcare?
Me first.
I'm happy to take that one. Like, I think the ideal question a patient could ask when they come into a practice, any practice, and certainly your practice as well, is what are my responsibilities to ensure I get the best outcome? Like that, I would love a patient to ask me that question. I would give them a big hug. I'd be like, thank you so much for asking that question, because it shows me that you're engaged, you're empowered to do the right things. So that would be my question that I would love for patients to ask.
I love that.
I love that, because that obviously is number one, because if you get a patient who really isn't engaged and just wants everything handed to them, it's not that we can't do anything to help, but they don't get the same results.
Sure.
We really want patients who are looking to know what it is that's best for their particular situation to give them the best quality of life.
I think for me, it's finding a practitioner who will ask you what your goal is. What are you expecting to get from us, rather than just giving you the blanket, here's what we're going to do to you. How about we understand what you're trying to get? And that's a really important thing we do. We try to get to the bottom of it. What is it you do? What is it you want to do? What is your goal for coming here? And I think is something that I have really, really embodied. Don't play. Is the idea of really trying to dig down and find out what do they want, what's the outcome they're looking for, and can we provide that?
Yeah.
And if we can, I'm on board. If we can't, I'm going to tell them we're not the right place for you.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a question that really helps them to engage, because if they've got a goal that they really want, like they want to be able to run with their grandkids, or they want to be able to, compete in a race or do those things, if we can give them hope for the best outcome in that, then that is their why. And that helps them to stay engaged with us, which gets them the best results.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's something that I'm very passionate about with my patients. And one population I think that really resonates with me is that you should feel like you're at the right place when you go into a doctor's office. If you do not feel heard, if you do not feel seen, then that's not the right place for you. And that is something that I'm super passionate about, and that's feedback that I feel like we get all the time, is that this is a place that people actually listen, that they actually care about your why. They actually care about why do you come in here, not just, oh, you have back pain, here's a script, see you later. And if you are that type of person that wants that kind of care, that wants that more holistic care, if you're not getting it with the provider that you're with, go somewhere else, because there are people out there are providers out there that will listen, that will care, that will really push the envelope of combining different things to be more integrative, to help you actually get the result that you want. And the only way that we design that plan is if we actually listen to you. And so if you do not feel heard, don't go there. And so that's just so important to me. And that's something that I've definitely heard for sure.
Love it.
All right. Well, if any of this resonated with you today, whether you're in pain or you're looking for more holistic care, or if you really just want to kind of check it out and come see what Pinto Innovative Health and Wellness is all about, we would love to see you. So we are able to be found at our website, healthwithpinto.com, or you can call us at 757-220-8552. We would love to meet you. We would love to connect, and we're excited to do more podcasts and talk with with you guys more.
I want to tell Jay, thank you for being our guest on our initial
Yes,
I'm
podcast.
honored, you guys.
Yes.
This is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, thanks so much.